Hello, the internet. Hello, Dave Green Street View Show. Here today with Harriet Kemsley, stand-up comedian and star of Bobby and Harriet Get Married. You can see that on Viceland. How's it going, Harriet?
It's good, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. Ready to go live?
It's exciting, isn't it?
That's the world. So where were you born and raised, Harriet Kemsley?
So I was born in near Canterbury in Kent, but in a tiny little village.
In a tiny little village, all right.
I wasn't born in a village. It wasn't like a village birth.
Just like
everybody, it was in a hospital, but then
clapping. Harriet, Harriet.
Yeah, it wasn't like that, Dave. But that's where I lived. It was. I didn't even know the name of the lane. You just said it's written there, Fox Lane. I didn't even know that the whole time I lived there. So yeah, it's a bit like that. Yeah, down there.
Down there, yeah.
That's I lived in a couple of houses before this, but this is the one that I remember. It's that one there. Yeah, just down here.
I see. Awesome. Does anyone still live there? Because we don't want to out your family.
I think people do live there.
People, but not
but
not.
Family. I don't know them, so I don't know them nothing.
So what was that? Was it happy times growing up here?
Yeah,
what memories does that bring back looking at that?
They've done it up a lot.
Do you ever look out that window?
I don't even know what that window is, but like this bit was like falling apart because it was. My dad was the farmer, so like that was the farm.
Your dad's
like in
an
the
actual
background.
Farmer?
He's not anymore, but he was. So that was the farm. So we lived on the farm. So this is like the.
But like a functioning farm.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
And what's a non-functioning farm?
I don't know. Sometimes people say they live on a farm and it just.
They just happen to live.
Like
yeah.
Right?
And they just,
wow. So you're so
proper
did you like
farmers.
help out doing the?
Yeah, I was always down in the fields.
Really?
Yeah, I've
amazing.
been on a combine harvester, but I was actually very allergic to everything.
Oh yeah, I remember this from when I first met you. You're allergic to what? All things.
So all this used to be raspberries. So
as far as the eye
could see was raspberries, and I was actually quite allergic to raspberries, but no one believed me until I went into anaphylactic shock.
So give us a list of everything you're allergic to, because it's quite a lot of stuff. So
yeah, it's raw fruit, raw vegetables, nuts. Things like dust and grass and horses. Yeah.
Surely that's everywhere, no?
Yeah.
So this is like the perfect show for you because you don't have to leave the house.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I can look at the countryside without actually having to go into it.
Would it
no, that's not how allergies work.
Okay.
Oh, it might bring back a horrible memory.
Yeah.
So I think no, it's not that bad.
Cool. It's lucky I cleaned the house before you came out.
Yeah.
So what happens up here?
So I mean, not a lot. If you were like, "Where's the high street?" earlier, and I was like, there's not a high street. But if you keep going down here a long way, then there's Selling train station.
Down here. So so what was it like growing up? I mean, this is quite a picturesque place, right? Did you appreciate this as a kid, or was it just?
Yeah,
I guess it's just normal.
We just used to run around the farm, and I've got a brother and sister, which is lucky. Otherwise, it might have been quite lonely.
It's beautiful. I don't know why I'm just zooming in on bushes.
But and then the train station. It might be a bit too far.
We can click, man. We can click,
going.
And you can tell me.
That's the bridge.
Oh yeah.
That's
you ever hang out there?
Viceland Bridge. Yeah, sometimes it gets flooded. There's a sign earlier. I don't know if you saw it, but prone to flooding. So that could get flooded, which was a problem. Keep going. There is a train station.
I believe it feels like we're trying to escape.
We're trying to get
to the station.
Yeah, that was me when I was growing up. Like, I want to escape. I want to.
So your dad was a farmer.
Yeah, my dad was a farmer.
Your mum helped out on the farm as well, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Well, she kind of I don't think she did much practically on the farm, but yeah, she was like so she go right in the train station. There, so I used to get the train every day to school. They've now made along here into a fancy little cafe. There was nothing like that when I was growing up. But that's the fancy cafe thing there. That's it. It's 2 minutes. My parents tried to go there the other day. Couldn't get a seat.
Down there, what is this?
And then down that's the fancy. Oh no, wait, no, it's not. That's
Did you ever hang out in the Saunders Arms?
Never.
No,
we never went there. No,
really?
No.
It's your local pub.
And then down there's the.
Why didn't you go to the pub?
I don't know really. This is somewhere out. I don't know what this is.
Allergic to booze, probably.
I'm not allergic to booze. I am. I don't know where you're going.
I don't. Oh, sorry. Sometimes I do just
you just wander.
Going on my own little journey.
Yeah. So that's the train. So I used to get. Do you know who used to live in the village that I used to get the train to school with every day? Do you remember Milo Yiannopoulos?
Who was that?
So he was at Nero. You know the guy that.
Cafe Nero.
He's the guy that founded Cafe Nero. No, he was. You know, he's like the alt-right.
Oh.
You know, he was...
I know that guy you're talking about. Yeah,
so
he
went to the boys' school of my school, so we used to get... He was from this little village as well. We used to get the train together.
Yeah.
He was, I wouldn't say a friend, but I chat to him in the mornings.
So is he the sort of guy you'd see on YouTube going on rants about?
He was big, like he was big kind of thing, he's
Yeah,
leading this
no, I do know the
movement,
guy
and
you're
then he
talking
got kind of toppled, and he hates women, and... I was one of the first women that he
met, and then he's like, women, they're allergic to fruit.
Yeah, they're just weak. They're naturally weak, and it's hard to disprove that. So
Am I going the right way?
It's just going to be more fields. No, I don't know exactly where you're going.
So let me ask you, I didn't realise you grew up on a farm. Yeah. Did that did you hang out with the animals? I mean, what do you have a relationship with animals? Because did you have to kill the animals and shit? No,
well, see, it was mainly arable.
Or did they milk? Did milk come out of them? I don't know. I don't know anything about farms.
No, clearly. I mean, I don't either. But my family. So my dad was they'd shoot animals. It was mainly arable. So it wasn't really
many what?
It was mainly arable.
No, it's pronounced animal. Animal. What's arable?
No, it's the opposite of animal. So it's like this. This is.
Is that a known thing? Arable. I feel like you're just making shit up now.
Yeah.
Colin's saying yeah.
Well, you're asking me as if I know. I mean,
arable.
I don't know. That's arable, like a field of wheat.
It's referred to as arable. See, that's why I do this show, man. I don't know.
A lot.
I don't know anything about the world.
I never thought I'd be the one to teach someone.
So this is arable.
This is
so
arable.
Next time I go past a field, I go, that's arable.
Yeah, it's an arable field.
And I go, that's not that bad.
If there's cows in it, you go, that's an animal field. I don't think they say that's an animal field, though.
But could you get animals standing on arables, surely? If there's a cow on
Well,
wheat.
Sometimes they have a fallow year. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Well, so you have a few years, and then you have a fallow year where you just have grass or something.
Yeah.
And then you could get things to eat the grass, because then the crops need the... I don't
surely,
know.
Hang on. With your allergies, surely arables would be the worst. You would have been better off with animals.
I was allergic all the time. Constantly, running out of
nose. That's the worst thing ever.
But we had pets. We had pet chickens, and we didn't kill them. But when my pet chicken died, that's when I became vegetarian when I was 8. And it was a big thing because my whole family...
Well, that's why I was wondering if it affected your relationship to...
Yeah, because they're very much like, you raise the animals, you kill the animals, shoot the animals, and I just saw them as people.
Wow, man, you'd have to detach, wouldn't you?
It's a puddle.
It's really good, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about that? All right, let's... did you ever look at the clouds when you were a small child and see if you saw any pictures of them? Because that's what we like to do here on Dave Green's Street View Show. And this is your chance as well to join in at home. So if you look at this cloud, see what you see, use your imagination, comment in, and the winner gets a free mug, which we don't actually have yet. I just give them mugs from my house. That's what I'm going to do, that one, yeah. This mug that Harriet Kemsley's been drinking out of. So comment in at home. Colin will choose the best comment. But for now, what does Harriet Kemsley see? That's what everyone wants to know.
See, to me, that looks like, in Independence Day, when the spaceships come in and they're attacking. That's kind of what it looks like to me. Can you see it, Liz?
Yeah. Just like
It's
Why are you seeing that? Are you quite? You're quite paranoid.
Quite paranoid.
Mind, all right.
Yeah.
So you're seeing spaceships.
Yeah.
What about this one? Who's that then?
It's a little kind of happy hippo. Do you see that? It's like, oh.
What there?
Where's
his
face?
Go
there's
on
the
there.
face. That's the butt. It's just kind of like, ooh.
The butt? You're seeing a whole...
That's the butt of the hippo. It's just kind of... Can you not see that?
It looks like
that's
a kind
the
of...
eye.
Oh, yeah, I see its eye.
Yeah, it's just it's looking off.
Hippo.
Maybe it's an elephant.
Would you kill it and eat it?
Absolutely not, Dave. No,
right.
It goes against everything, I believe.
Do you see any arable in the sky?
No, I don't know.
What's that? That looks like something to me.
That's a flying polar bear, isn't it?
Polar bear, is it?
Yeah.
I was thinking of whale. Like this. Like that's his eye, mouth.
You're not very good at this, are you, Dave?
Whale. Good, there's no wrong answers on Dave Green's Street Show.
Comment
at home, there's no wrong answers.
Wrong.
What do the clouds look like?
It's a flying polar bear. It's like this, it's flying this way. Can you see?
What do you see there? Probably
that's a
pylon,
post,
right?
Yeah.
That's a pylon.
It's a pylon.
And
small sky.
What's this? Who's out there? Don't say a cloud.
That's a dead man.
A dead man?
Yeah.
Why?
There's the head, and then he had a swollen heart, and he died.
Oh, what?
So
Like
that's
he's
his
lying
head
down.
on there. Yeah, there he is. He's dead.
Oh yeah.
Huge
A
man.
dead man. Why do you think you're
Huge
saying
dead
that?
man.
You're thinking about your own mortality.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's weird looking back, and you see I haven't been back to here in years. This music also doesn't help, I think.
This is actually Ohio because they got the best clouds. But
What is?
we're in Ohio now.
This is
People
where I
aren't
grew
necessarily
up.
meant to know that.
I
No,
was
no, no.
looking around thinking that I was like,
clouds.
looking back, kind of
We always
dreamily
choose
at where
Ohio
I
because
grew
they have
up.
the best clouds, but
Oh,
we don't usually reveal that
really
secret.
nostalgic about. I never lived in Ohio.
But it might be the same cloud, right? It might have travelled from Canterbury to Ohio.
Yes.
So
Yes.
often people do recognise the clouds
Okay.
from their past lives. Right. So, yeah, comment at home, guys. Clouds. And now to our next chapter of our life, which is here.
It's Canterbury.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that where we're supposed to go? Canterbury?
Yeah, we can go to Canterbury.
Or Nackington? Was it Nackington?
Yeah. So
Let's have a look at Nackington.
yeah. So this is, you can't actually see it because this is more countryside. So this is where I moved when I was 15.
And you live down this road,
down
right?
this
Which we
road,
can't actually
yeah.
look at because it's too rural for Google Street View.
Yeah, that's when they sold the farm, and my dad retrained. He's a maths teacher.
You had a story about this. Oh, so he went from
yeah.
farming to teaching math.
Yeah,
Really?
he just always loved maths.
Really?
But he had to go into farming because there's a family farm, and then he managed to do what he loved, and he went and taught. At
So
my
he
old
wanted to
school.
rebel.
He
I want to be a mathematician, goddammit.
maths because he just loves maths. It's so cute. But this is where I learnt to drive. So this is where I actually just there is where I killed an owl.
Really? In your car or just with a bat?
in my car out the window with a bat. No, I was driving. I would always get into trouble and break the car. And so my dad had to come and restart the car because I'd done something wrong, or move it out of an alleyway because I just get stuck trying to reverse, and then he'd have to come into town and get it. And so I was driving back along here like this many years now, and I was driving and it was dark, and then I just saw the most beautiful sight of this owl, and it spread its wings, and it was amazing, and I just drove straight into it.
Oh my God.
And I killed it, and I just burst into tears and stopped in the road. And my dad was behind, and he got out and he ran around. He's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I was like, "An owl! I killed the owl!" And then he got
an
really
owl's
angry.
like a real sort of.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful animal, man.
Yeah.
You'd feel horrible.
Yeah, and then the problem was it was just by the side of the road, so I just had to drive past it every day for
Oh my
weeks.
Lord, that is really sad.
Yeah, but that sign back there.
Oh no,
I
I'm
don't
underneath a bridge
know.
for some reason. I've gone under a
Oh,
bridge.
you're down on the motorway heading
Down
to
on the
Dover.
motorway.
Off you go.
Should I go to Dover?
You're off to Dover, yeah.
I should feel like I'm on the way to a gig or something.
Do you gig in Dover a lot?
Just on
You're
the
going the wrong
motorway.
way. You're going
Am I going the wrong way?
Look,
Shit, I'm
the
going to
cars are coming towards you.
Going to get crushed. I say we go to
Jesus.
Canterbury. Want to go to Canterbury?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's back in cloud. So what? So this is like the nearest big town, right, to where you live?
Yeah.
Well, what did you
this
used
is
to do in
where-
Canterbury?
Just cause trouble on the streets.
Do you know this guy? Did you cause trouble with him? What's he drinking?
Why have they blurred his face?
Thermos.
What did he do?
Everyone's face is blurred.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So,
you
nah.
could still, if you knew him, you'd still know that was him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'd recognise that flask anyway.
What? God, you could just... Do they change it every day?
Not every. I think like every year or something.
Every year they
They
get
update
a
it.
new one. They catch
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
people out, don't they?
Cheeky buggers.
So
Right.
this is the... Yeah, so
Well, it's
it
letting me
looks
go.
pretty grim, doesn't it? It's
I'm on the
actually
pavement.
quite beautiful.
Usually it doesn't let you go on the pavement.
So this is
kind
the
of weird.
city walls that goes all the way around. It was
Is this like an ancient thing, like a
they need
Roman
to,
thing?
Yeah, to protect the city
Yeah,
from attack.
from you.
From me, yeah,
From you
but
causing
I got
trouble.
in, just caused trouble, yeah. So I don't really know where you're going now, but this is...
I was just going to hang out with this guy.
Oh yeah, he looks so friendly. Doesn't he? You
Maybe.
can tell he's
He does,
smiling.
actually, yeah,
Even though he's blurred, you can tell.
Laughing at the Google guy.
Hello.
So were you like a rebellious teenager?
Yeah, because I
Wait.
grew up in that countryside, and I started drinking at probably like 13,
Yeah.
14. We'd go and sneak out to bars in Canterbury. Some of them have very relaxed policies.
Oh,
and
really?
then-
Which one? Show me. Let's see if we can get them in
Well,
trouble.
along here is
It's not.
that's a hairdresser's,
Oh,
but
yeah. So-
along here is is Church. Well, it was originally called Churchill's, and we used to go there.
Is that a
week.
chain? I feel like I've heard of that.
It's a chain, yeah.
Right.
And then it became Chicago Rock Cafe. But yeah, I used to go there all the time. I got banned from it. I went back. Like it was an ongoing experience because we started going there when we were 15. So this is it here. What is it now?
Steinbeck's. That looks fairly
What's
fancy.
that?
It's a piano shop.
Piano shop.
Is that a Steinbeck piano?
Yeah.
Is it? See, I know what I'm talking about.
Oh dear, it wasn't like that at all.
That's
Do you think that's a bar
that
still?
looks fairly
It looks a bit
now.
fancy, doesn't it? I've fallen over those railings a few
I don't know
times.
what I'm saying. It looks fancy just because it's got these lights. That's the only reason.
It's much fancier than it was. It was hot. Like
I didn't imagine church was to look like that. Is what I'm saying.
Sticky floors, just gross. And yes, we used to sneak in when we were younger, and then the bouncers kind of knew us. And it was because we had fake IDs, and then it all got very complicated. And then they got stricter and stricter as we got older. And then when I was 17, they rolled out these things called connections cards. Did you have
I remember that. Yeah. What was that again?
So it was like everyone from like, I think it was like 16 to 19. Like if you were at school or college, you get a connections card that you use as proof of ID. And so it was done through the school. But they came to the school and I lied about my date of birth.
Yeah, it's so easy to...
Yeah, so I said that I was born a year earlier. But then it went through the whole school and my teacher had to give it back to me, but no one noticed.
Yeah.
So it worked as ID until I passed out in Churchill's and had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital.
Did you accidentally eat an apple or something? What happened?
No, well, I'd stopped drinking. That was the problem. I'd stopped drinking, so I just started driving. And I drank too many Red Bulls.
Are you serious?
Yeah. My dad was like, "You should keep drinking. Don't stop because
you passed out from a caffeine
too
overdose.
much Red
Really?
Bull." Yeah. And so then they found out that they'd let me in with this connections card, and then they no longer let connections cards be used as ID in the Kent area.
You. Oh man.
Yeah, I really fucked it for everyone. So sorry.
Kemsley with a red, with a
Red
Bull.
Yeah, just had too many Red Bulls, guys.
What did that feel like? That must have been.
I just was like a bit manic, and then I just collapsed.
Was it like a panic attack thing?
Yeah, I think it was like that. And then I literally passed out.
Oh my god, that sounds horrific.
Arms.
I heard about a guy that killed himself with overdosing on caffeine, and I remember thinking that must be the worst feeling. I mean, he intentionally did it.
He did it.
But I hate it if I just have like too many coffees.
He did that intentionally.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to be pleasant killing yourself, but
on caffeine. Do you know when you know you've drunk too much coffee and you're like,
yeah.
Imagine that, but times 100. Anyway,
Did you just not
that's
drink
very bleak. I don't know, man. I just read about it in the paper.
I
think it was like caffeine pills. So where's our next stop, Kemsley?
So yeah, I lived
down there.
You
lived here,
yeah.
didn't you?
Then from
in New York.
Canterbury to New York.
To New York.
Yeah, when I was 19, I went to drama school in New York City, and so the school, the accommodation for students was on the 14th and 15th floors of the New Yorker Hotel. So we were in the middle of the New Yorker Hotel is where we lived.
So what made you want to do drama? How do you get the performing bug?
I don't know. I was so shy when I was younger, and lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and just like was really shy, and just when I started, and I also had a really bad lisp. I still have it a little bit, yeah. But and so I was just really shy, and I just wouldn't really speak much. But when I did acting or whatever, I just kind of had more confidence. So it kind of really helped with that, and then I got really into it, and I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to do like serious theatre, and then I got accepted to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and so I moved over here, and it was meant to be 3 years, but it was the funnest year of my life. It was insane, but it just wasn't quite right ultimately, because it was quite like Broadway, like, we're gonna make you a star, and like, I can't sing and I can't dance, and I'm very bad at accents, so it was never gonna go anywhere. I just knew that I had to go back to England, really. And also I couldn't work. So I'd worked for the year before to save money, but I couldn't work when I was out there. So it was tricky financially, but it was the funnest year. And I made some really good friends. But we lived on the 14th floor of the hotel. And the hotel is kind of like fancy. It's a bit like faded glamour. But we got cockroaches in our room. And because I had a roommate who I'd never met before, so I stayed with her for a year in this tiny room in the middle of the hotel in the middle of New York. And we had cockroaches, and they came up through the bath plugs.
Really?
And then they developed into flying cockroaches. And they'd fly at our heads.
That sounds horrific. How was it? So how old were you again when you moved here?
19.
19. So that's quite a young man to like go right the other side of the world.
Flew out.
I know lots of people do that. I always think when I was that age, man, I would not.
Yeah, I think that just I felt so comfortable in Canterbury, and I just always thought I thought if I don't go far, I'm not gonna. No,
it's good, man, to go somewhere totally different. But was it like a bit of a culture shock for you?
Massively. Everyone was so like the street, like you literally like the difference of this, like just walking out your front door to just chaos every day to Canterbury was insane, and everyone was so rude and so angry. And like people just really uptight, like they didn't really laugh. Like you'd say something and they'd be like, "That's funny, you're funny,"
and
really? They'd like stare at you, and you'd be like, "Oh God!" But you've really managed to find the one bit of New York that's not that exciting.
I have a knack of doing that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what you've found.
Try and stay off the beaten path.
Yeah,
here on Dave Green
you're quite near the river, which is nice. Friends of mine were members of this gym along here, the Chelsea Piers.
There we go. I had a feeling.
Gym, and I couldn't afford it, but you could go in on the pass sometimes, and it's crazy. They had like a boxing ring and all this like, and like this pool. Like it was amazing.
So how did that? So you wanted to get into acting originally. How did that turn into stand up?
Well, then I just kept on being cast in like comedy roles. Like I thought I was a serious actor. And no one agreed.
Oh, really?
And I tried to...
So it's then they decided for you?
Yeah. Well, because I never really understood, I think, the plays I'd be doing or things, but I just pretend I did.
Yeah.
So that... And just, like, say things that someone else had said. But I didn't really understand. And then I just... stand-up became, like, a way of, like, controlling it as well. Like... You could just write your own stuff and do it whenever you wanted.
I never know how actors do it, man. I have like lots of admiration for them, and also like, but the idea of like not being in control of what you're doing, like if you're just doing acting,
and it's
because you're only as good as the thing you're in, right?
Yeah,
which
and
terrifies me.
You have to wait for someone to call you and to say, I would like to deign to offer you to be in my thing, and it's a horrible feeling, and
you're totally at the mercy of other people. Whereas stand up, even if you're doing it in the shittiest pubs and
exactly, you can
at
just
least
do it every night.
You're doing it, right?
Yeah, so it was the best thing that ever happened, really. But yeah, New York, it was just the crazy because I couldn't legally drink when I was here, so I still had the problem of having to try and sneak into places. So my friend, before I left, she'd given me a fake ID. It was a Hawaiian girl called Collier Palisnik. Who was 22 and looked nothing like me.
You're trying to pass as Hawaiian.
Yeah, and that got me into quite a few places until I got arrested, and I spent a night in a cell in Brooklyn. I don't think we can get to Brooklyn from here.
What did you get arrested for?
For stepping over the subway pass, because I could, like, I could never get the ticket things to work. Yeah, and it was like 2 a.m, and so I just stepped over it, and then there were police on the other side.
Did you get arrested for that?
Yeah, they're so well because then they said, "Have you been drinking?" And I was 19, and I was like, "I've had a few." Like, it'd be fine. And they said,
"They're really strict to it."
And they handcuffed me and arrested me, and like my friends were getting on the tube at the time, and the doors just shut. They looked out the window, and I was being handcuffed. And it took four of them. They took me to a cell, and they kept me in the cell overnight. And I was like, "Guys, this is ridiculous." My roommate had to rush back and get my passport because there was no proof that I was here legally, because I just had a Hawaiian ID for a girl called Collier Palisnik. It's very unfortunate. But then they let me go at like 5 a.m. or something, and I had to get the subway back, and I managed to get back to Union Square, and then I got chased by this man through Union Square.
Really?
That was the really scary bit, yeah. Because he was just chasing me, and then I was running. I was in these big like heels, and I ran into this like convenience shop, and I was like, "Help! This guy's chasing me!" And then this guy, like, I turned around, and he was like pressed up against the window this, and the guy in the shop was just like, this happens all the time. Good luck, love. Yeah. I just had to run, and I managed to jump in a cab.
And how do you find London in relation to New York?
I'd always wanted to live in London when I was younger, but New York was much more exciting, I think.
Yeah,
and the thing with New York is that you can get from one end of it to the other. You can just walk. And now with Uber and stuff, it's great. But when you were there, you could get taxis so cheap. The subway system I found quite difficult. I never really kind of got to grips with that. But it's just so fun. Like, it's so alive in a way that London is so many tiny little bits together, whereas New York is smaller and taller, and you kind of feel more in it. It was great. It was so fun.
Awesome. How's it looking there, Colin? Anything happening on the?
It's all looking good. We do have a few
on the media.
A few suggestions.
Do we of clouds?
For clouds, we had Si Deaves said one of them looked like a sugar puff.
Sugar puffs.
Paul Cox.
Thanks for joining in.
Paul Cox thought or thought one of the clouds looked like Kramer from Seinfeld.
Oh, really?
Didn't see that. I'm not sure which
hair.
one.
Maybe it's the hair.
It's the hair. It could be the hippo.
Yeah. We should get that music back for this, man. We should have a.
Has the weather changed? That wouldn't happen, would it?
Has it?
That couldn't happen, could it?
It does do sometimes. It's got more bad rainy.
It
Just have those clouds letting go of
yeah.
the water. So what we got? We got Si Deaves. We got
Si Deaves and Paul Cox in the running for a mug.
Yeah. Who do you recommend? Who do you reckon's the winner?
I don't really. Do they mean this one that's like a sugar puff? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard to tell which one they were talking about.
I'm sorry, I don't see it. It's hard though. Once I've seen what I see, I can't accept anyone else's.
Yeah, you got to get in someone else's mind.
Yeah, no.
Who wants to do that?
Is that the dead man there? There he is.
So what do you? Who's going to take the biscuit?
Oh, it does. The dead man does look a bit like a sugar puff, maybe. Do you think?
Sugar puffs, surely they're like different shapes, though, no?
No, they're pretty consistent.
They have a distinctive
they do have
shape and smell.
Like it's been so long since I've had them.
Don't they make
Could you touch a
smell?
sugar puff, or would that make you?
I could touch a sugar puff. Anything that's like processed and bad for you, I can have.
All right,
It's
okay.
no problem.
It's just healthy stuff.
It's just healthy stuff.
So who's going to win the mug, Colin?
So it's a sugar puff, or what was it? Oh, Kramer.
Kramer from Seinfeld. I think
You got to make a decision. Then.
the sugar puff looks good. I can't see anything
puff.
that looks like Kramer in there.
No.
No.
I think he's looking at something else.
So sugar puff.
Unless he has Seinfeld opened in another window.
He's just watching
He's just watching
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Sugar puff. Si
Sugar puff
Deaves has
wins.
got it. This
Well done,
mug.
Si.
This mug.
Oh, not this one.
Oh no, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harriet
How do
Kemsley's
you-
ketchup mug.
how
My
do you-
mum actually got this for me as a Christmas present. Oh no, moving in. Spilling everywhere. All
How are
right.
you going to get it to him?
Yeah, send me your address.
No, you should hand deliver it, I think.
Okay.
That way you can.
So
leave.
tell me your address, Si. I'll go there on Google Street View. And Mum, I'm sorry for giving away the presents, but until we get actual promotional mugs, I'm just going to give away stuff from my house.
Is the remaining coffee included?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Don't drink any of that. That's Si Deaves now.
Thanks, Si.
Coming at you, Si Deaves. All right, back to the show.
Okay.
That's the audience interaction element. And so New York, and then you came to London, right? This coffee is going to really annoy me being there
Oh,
the rest of the
dear.
show. I'll just go like this, so I can't see it.
You can get
I was-
a wet hand.
No, that's fine. All right, Colin's going to get me.
Thanks,
No,
Colin.
that's all right.
Yeah, so I lived in New York for a year, and then I went back for the summer, and I was like, I just think I shouldn't be in New York. Like, I loved it, but I was like, I can't see how this is. I'm going to be here for 3 years, and then I'm not going to be on Broadway. Like, no one wants to hear me sing. So I was like, maybe I should move. I should just move to London and just move there. Like, I never really wanted to go to university, but then I didn't have enough money to live in London, so I applied. I went to Kingston University just so that it would pay the rent, because I got a student loan from that. And then
Just to hang out. What to study though? Acting.
no, English literature.
Oh, really?
And my friend Sam, who I met in America, he was Australian and he moved to London at the same time as me to go to drama school. And so we lived in this flat in
Where are we now?
Gunnersbury.
Gunnersbury. Is that where we are?
You're heading over towards Brentford
Oh,
now.
right, I've gone the other way. Yeah.
But yeah, we lived just down that road, Wellesley Road. So he was in Australia, and I had to find the flat, and I found this flat with it had one huge bedroom and one tiny bedroom, and I made him go in the tiny bedroom for a while until we realised we should just have a tiny living room. And he made like one of the cupboards into a dining room.
Oh, really?
Good like that, yeah. So yeah, me and Sam lived together for years. We got 2 cats together.
So was that happy time living here? And was this the time when you were starting to do stand-up or nah?
No, it was a really weird time because I suddenly had just applied to university literally a couple of weeks before like the clearing thing, when they're just like a few weeks before they close. So I moved to Gunnersbury, literally by this roundabout, from New York, which was so exciting. And then I just lived here, and then it was like an hour and a half.
Gunnersbury's kind of a sleepy neighbourhood, right?
Yeah, to get to Kingston on the bus. And I get the bus to Kingston, and I just never really went to university, so I never really got into it. But then I started working. I worked in a bar near here for a bit. And then I started to work in theatres, so I worked at the Rose in Kingston, and then the Lyric in Hammersmith, and just started to do like acting things, and then I started to do writing things, and then it was just when I finished uni that I started stand up. So yeah, this was a weird time around here. It was a lot of kind of like mums, and I didn't know anyone apart from Sam, and Sam was really busy. So this wasn't the best time, really. Thanks for bringing me back.
Time figuring stuff out, right?
Yeah, but I think it was
the formative times, though, man. At the time when you're lost and you don't know what's going on, that's when stuff's percolating, right?
Yeah, and so I was just a bit older than everyone at uni, and like I'd been going out in Canterbury for years, and I just didn't really want that anymore. I wanted to do stuff, but so I didn't really know anyone at uni, and I spent a lot of time on my own. I don't know many people that managed to go to university and not make any friends, but I really,
You've got to try really hard.
I tried really hard, and I really achieved it. But I think it was good for me because I think it really, in New York, I've been surrounded by people, and here I just kind of had to figure it out, you know. And I think if I hadn't had that time, and like with English literature, like I didn't want to study, but like it made me read, and it made me write, and it made me kind of start to do that stuff that you need for stand up in a way. Do you think?
Yeah. What?
I don't
reading?
know. Do you think yeah, I don't know.
I started reading more recently. I think it does help with stand-up.
Yeah, but does that
I just read other people's material.
Yeah.
And just say it.
But you have to just
really
say,
well,
just repeat it. Yeah, you do Harry Potter on stage. But I just spat a bit.
That's right. It's coffee, spit.
It's
table's taken it all today.
Here, isn't it?
No, it's interesting that you came out from acting. Because quite often you'll meet someone that has just started doing stand-up and they're like incredible, and you're like, they've done like 5 gigs, and they're like, oh yeah, I used to be an actress, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. It is a massive hell, man. I'd never done any stage stuff.
But what's interesting is everyone always said that my performance was bad to begin with. Like the writing was good, but the performance was bad.
Oh really? No, I always thought you were really. It was a really strong persona right from the start.
But that I seemed quite. I think I was just really. I seemed quite nervous, but then I was, because you're not like a character or anything. You're just. I was trying to be myself, so I was quite nervous at the start.
That's the thing a lot of people do, and that's what I did. My persona's changed a little bit, but yeah, because you are genuinely nervous. You can go one or two ways when you start. Either you're like massively overcompensating, but like, hey, or you embrace the nervousness and make it part of your persona.
Yeah, so it went a bit too far in the end. That it became a bit like a character when I wasn't really so nervous, but that was kind of the shtick.
Yeah, but you overplay what you've got. Right?
But I'm not really like that. Yeah, you're so different from when you started.
Yeah, I used to be so deadpan.
Yeah.
I just stand there like that. But for a while, I changed a little bit. But I think it was only perceptible to me, and I'm like, man, in my head I was like Chris Rock or something. But really, all that had happened is like I blinked or something. Do you know what I
mean? You moved an arm.
yeah. And it was like, I don't know. It's a long learning curve, though, isn't it? So then where else did you live in London?
It was weirding. So then I lived in Shepherd's Bush, which was actually quite fun. I
put it on there, didn't I?
No, because I lived all over. I lived in Shepherd's Bush, and then I moved to Shoreditch, and then to London Fields, and then to this place.
This is where you're living now.
This is where I live now. But when I first moved here, I moved into this comedian's house, so it's quite famous on the stand-up circuit as being the shittest house in all of London.
So give me a rundown of who's lived there, because I think I know the house you're talking about.
So it's where I moved with my now husband, Bobby Mayer. So Bobby, Matt Reese. Who else has lived there? Johnny Pelham.
Oh yeah.
Tim Renko.
Is this the one where there's like a brothel upstairs?
Dylan Gott. No, that's when Johnny lived in a brothel.
That's a different
No, he didn't live
in
in
a
the
brothel.
brothel. That's when Johnny lived in a
Johnny
brothel.
ran a brothel.
No, he doesn't do that anymore. So yeah, it's just because the rent is so cheap. It was like, I think it's $2 something a month. Like
really?
So it meant that I could leave my job because I was working in.
I can't even imagine what that would look like that.
The house.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Like, every morning I used to walk to the toilet through a puddle of grown men's piss.
Yeah. But that was who you're living with. That's not, no reflection on the house, right?
Yeah. But the house, like, there's asbestos in the roof. Like, nothing has been done to it for like 20 years, and they don't know where the person that owns it is. Like, they just never come, and so it's like falling apart. And it's so much better now because people have kind of done stuff to it and made it nicer. But it was just a bit depressing, I think. It's much better now, like they've painted it and made it nicer, but it was a bit bleak. But it was also great, like, just kind of... There were so many of us, though, and shared a room with Bobby in a house with loads of people. It was just a bit intense.
It was intense.
Yeah, but like after a year of living there, like I managed to leave work and then managed to do stand-up. So that was really good. But yeah, we just kind of stuck around the area. We don't live there anymore, but now we've got our own place. We're actually just we're trying to buy a place.
Around this area, or?
This is just Brixton Hill, I think. So further back up where we were. Yeah. So it's weird. I lived in this kind of area for a few years now. It's kind of nice in London when you settle a bit, like, because it's so big. Like it feels like I've lived in all the corners of it. And it's quite nice when you kind of settle a bit. Because you've lived here for a bit.
For ages, man. I've lived in Leytonstone for, I think, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. Do you like that? You get.
I love it, man.
Used to it. Yeah.
It's awesome neighbourhood. Should we click to my house from Brixton?
Yeah.
And then look in the window and then see
what?
Us. Inception. Any other activity there, Colin, on the old...
Paul...
they've already won the mug now.
Paul, I told Paul I'd ask if there was anything for second prize. And he has requested a pasta strainer.
A what?
Something for straining pasta.
Oh, I don't think I got one, man.
No.
Is that how prizes work?
I just used the saucepan, Paul.
Someone just requests.
Yeah.
Well,
by the end of the series, my house will just be empty. This is sitting here.
This is the benefit of doing it live. People can ask for anything they want.
What about your
I'm not
watch?
sure I like this now. You can't. Maybe. My watch. Stop giving away my watch. No, I'm not giving away my watch. I'll see what I can do, Paul. Pasta strainer. Is that what he wants?
Yeah.
All right.
A colander, I guess.
A colander, yeah.
Same thing?
Yeah. What is the difference? What's the difference between a colander and a sieve?
It's one plastic.
If Paul can answer that, then let's see what we can do.
What's the difference between a colander and a
Dave's
sieve?
watch.
Yeah. No, you don't. I've only just bought this watch.
Nice watch. It's good.
I've had these. Look, I'll tell you about these watches. This is a little interlude. Casio Classic. I've had that. This is the only watch I've ever had this style of watch since I was a child. Then I became a comedian. All the comedians wore them. All the hipsters wore them because they're like retro. But it's
You're
the only
saying
watch
you
I've ever
started Casio watches?
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is I had it before it was cool.
It felt like the QVC or something the way you were holding it
up. Yeah. It's a watch. Do you know time? If you've ever seen the time, you'll like that. There we go. Casio. All right. So we're kind of up to date now.
But what we can do, this is just where I live.
Is go.
It's just my life.
What we like to do to round it off, as we go all the way back to space.
What?
And then we don't. We go back to selling.
Yeah.
And I ask you if you saw the sort of 10-year-old Harriet Kemsley walking around here, and you'd give her some advice. What do you think you'd say, Harriet? Stay away from the apples, or stay away from the red ball?
Yeah, people will eventually believe you that apples make your mouth feel itchy when you go into anaphylactic shock. I don't know. I think I had the best childhood. Like, you're just running around like on a farm and just kind of doing this stuff. But also, I just kind of craved like excitement, and that was coming. You just got to chill out a bit. I wanted to grow up really quickly, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get out, and I wish I'd relaxed a bit more and kind of just just enjoyed it, you know. Because you move to London, then you just like, you miss the countryside a bit. I think I'd go mad if I lived there for 2 days now, but you always imagine, like, you romanticise it a bit.
Yeah.
And think...
How do you think this place, like, shaped you as a person, like, growing up on a farm and all that?
I guess it was just really lucky just to be able to like be outside so much. Like my mum would just like shut the door and be like, "Okay, guys, see you later," and just like run around in a garden with like chickens and stuff. And so it was really nice. But then also, I guess I didn't really know many people that lived nearby. So I think a lot of people, maybe if you lived in London, like or you lived in a city or like something, maybe that was part of the reason I was so shy, because I wasn't seeing like people that wasn't in my family like all the time, or like my mum's friends and stuff. Yeah, just mum. But I learnt a lot from Milo Yiannopoulos as well about he was Milo Hanrahan then, about how awful women are. I don't know really. What are you doing? Just
looking through the trees.
Just looking through the trees.
We should take photos on this, Colin.
It does feel like a walk, doesn't it? It feels like a country walk.
Let's take a photo. This is to remind myself next that you can take a photo. Actually, I should do it. Oh, there you go. That's a photo.
It's weird because my parents have moved. They're not that close here, but they're quite kind of close to the area now.
We'll tweet this photo.
So I got married very near here. That
Did
is
you?
a good bush, actually.
Oh yeah. How was your wedding?
It's good, thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of got.
If you want to know about the wedding, check out the show on Viceland.
Check out the show. It's on Sky Go. But only if you have Sky. But I think it should be up on the Viceland website soon. I think the first episode's on the Viceland website, and then the others should be up soon.
Yeah.
But if not, if you've got Sky, it's on Sky Go. Down here's where I went to Brownies, actually.
That's Brownies, is it?
Further down here, yeah, in the village hall. My snail won second prize in a competition.
Your own personal snail?
Yeah, I had a giant West African snail, but it never actually grew that big, so I don't know if it was just a normal snail.
It's got to be a West African. Like you can't just have a pet snail, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't grow big, so maybe it was a con or something. Maybe just someone was just selling snails from the garden.
It's going to grow up to be a great snail. That's cool. I'm just taking another photo of this bush. Oh shit!
Oh no, we're back with the dead man.
So I think that's pretty much it, man. Unless you have anything else. What you choose a photo that you'd like me to take? Because this is a new thing I've just decided we're going to do.
We're going to do a photo. I mean, I don't really know where we are really right now.
I'm just going to take one of this bush.
Okay, you take one of the
there
bush.
Go. Tweet that. Put that
tweet. Guys, this is where I grew up in the bush.
I'm so lonely. Right. So that's it, man. So I think all that's left to do is zoom out. You got our music ready, Colin? We're going to zoom out into the sky and look at the world. This has been Dave Green's Street View Show. She's been Harriet Kemsley. I've been Dave Green. He's been Colin Chadwick on the knobs of steel. Make sure you subscribe if you're enjoying these different comedians every week, looking at different places all around the world. You might get to win a free mug. Well done, Si Deaves, for the sugar puffs. That was a nice look into your hungry mind who likes breakfast. I've been Dave Green. See you next week. Thank you.